And I'm Bree.
Welcome to Mother's Tea. We're going to talk about motherhood and grieving, kind of what comes along with that and how you have to push through. And Bree's going to kind of interview me for a change. For those of you that don't know, I lost my mother on April 24th of this year. It was a very, very, very fast passing of her. We knew that she wasn't feeling well, and she was a mind over matter person. Things did not get her down. She still worked. She taught almost 40 years as a school teacher in Wichita Falls, and she did not stop teaching until mid-January, and really needed some help with things. My sister and I would help her, but not a lot until the end of March, and then she took a pretty good decline right in front of my eyes, and just wasn't ever fully back to herself. But at the same time, in those 4 weeks before she passed, we got a lot of good moments that I'm so thankful for, that there's no way I'd be where I am if I didn't have that time with her to process and get to understand a little bit about what all went on. But it's definitely been a huge roller coaster and a big, big change for me and my whole family.
Yeah. She was like the matriarch of y'all's family. Like,
she was
the glue that held y'all together.
Everything. Mom was big on traditions. She was big on celebrating everyone's birthday. She was big on let's get together once a week. And as things got busier, right, like we couldn't always do that, but we talked all the time. It actually sucks. I don't have a voicemail from my mom. One, because of text, right? Like, if you can't get a hold of somebody, you just send a text and say, call me. But also, like, we just answered. I mean, so that's hard because I don't have that. Thankfully, I have messages and I still read. I go through our text messages every day and read all of our conversations. I love to see the ones where she puts me in my place and the mushy ones, just all of them. And I still text her. It's just something that I do that helps me. But I wish I had a voicemail. I wish I didn't answer all the time.
You have videos? Like,
no, not a lot.
Not a lot of videos.
She was camera shy. She never thought that she looked good enough to be in front of a camera. So that's definitely something. Remember how much your loved ones love you and think that you're beautiful past your own insecurities and your own flaws. Those who love you don't see those things. And I wish I had more pictures. I'm thankful for the ones I have. There are a few times, I mean, she was a hard, like, no, don't take my picture. Put your phone down. But I think she kind of knew, and there were a couple of times that she definitely posed for a picture that I'm thankful for, that those were very, very opportune times, because like I said, that just did not happen often. She liked a good Snapchat filter.
Yeah. I feel like when you read her messages, you, like the ones where she's getting onto you or your sister, like you read them in her tone. Like,
I do, and that helps me. So when she got sick, it was affecting her speech. So I miss her voice, and I feel like I don't remember her voice. And it's just panic that sets in. I know it'll come to me, but I'm also like, oh, it's been 4 months since she passed, but really 6-7 months since I heard her real voice. It kind of just was happening that you didn't even realize, but we thought we knew what it was, and it wasn't. But that is still hard for me. So I do try really hard to read it in her tone. And when somebody passes away, it's not that you want to idolize them or make them somebody who they weren't. But I mean, my mom had faults. We all have faults. But it is hard for me to think about hers. And so whenever I go read those messages, sometimes I like to be like, oh my gosh, you were driving me crazy, because she had no patience. So if you didn't answer her text message when she was texting, and she would put that hello question mark, and I was like, Mom,
5 seconds. Don't send out search and rescue.
Hold on, I cannot always answer. And so that actually helps me sometimes to kind of be like, yeah, she did have some faults that were annoying, because I don't ever think of them. I miss those. Yeah. I miss her driving me crazy sometimes. I miss that.
Yeah. You get lost in the living life, and it's easy to forget that, you know, even though your mom is a pain in the ass because she's staying on top of you, being a mother, being a mother, you know, you don't realize that someday you're going to be like, man, I wish you could just get on me one more time. Or, you know, tell me how to bake a cake when I've done it 1,000 times, but not like her.
Right.
I can imagine. How are you feeling like today, you know, in the now about everything? You still struggle a lot with it?
Yes. So
and it's still very fresh.
It is so fresh. I know that people say like it gets easier, but I really think that those are just stupid quotes that somebody made up, because I don't think it does get easier. I think the truth in that is when people say that you just learn to live with it. I think for me, I feel like I've almost regressed, and I'm having a harder time now than I have this whole time. I cry all the time, but I'm also a crier. Like, I cry at movies, and I cry when I'm happy and stuff
Hallmark
like that.
commercials.
But yes, but the ache that I feel in my heart is like just such a deep bruise that it just feels like it's never going to heal. It takes my breath away, and I'm such a controlling person. And I think something that I'm actually just mad about is that I'll never be me again. I miss being happy. I get to have moments of happiness, but I miss being happy and positive, and I try to be, but even if I get like an hour of like, oh my gosh, this was so much fun, or giggles and things like that, it just comes right back with reality of not having a mom on this earth.
Yeah.
And so that sucks, because I feel like I said goodbye to more than one person without realizing it. I had to say goodbye to Mom, but I never dreamed of how it would change me as a person. Majorly change me as a person.
How does your family cope with it? Because, I mean, they, you know, obviously lost a mother-in-law, a grandma, a Cece, you know.
Yeah.
Do y'all sit down and discuss a lot with the kids if they're going through it or missing her?
We talk about it a lot, and that's a hard part too, is like, you don't care what people think, but also, do you really want to be that depressing person all the time? And there's so many people who've gone through loss that sometimes I feel like I don't have a place to be sad, because I lost my mom and I was 36. I mean, I know that was just 4 months ago, but I'm 37 now. But I just mean, like, I got her the majority of my childhood in my life, I guess. I don't know when I'm going to die, but I'm thankful for the time that I got her and the seasons I got her. My mom was 19 when her mom died, so she didn't get to have any of her kids with a mom with her to do the things, and I'm thankful for all that she taught me. But for those who've lost children or a spouse, I feel like I need a reality check sometimes, but also it is my relationship and is my grief, and so it doesn't have to be compared to anybody. And that kind of goes hypocritical on, you can go through stuff and it doesn't always have to be compared to somebody else. Like, you can go through things and it doesn't have to be, oh, but it's not as bad as them, so I need to get over it. It just is what you're going through and what it is. But thankfully, my husband is awesome. You see that there was a sermon a little bit, it was the last time I went to church before Mom passed. So it was 2 weeks. I stayed there for 4 months. I left like 3 times. My sister and I stayed and were with her and took care of her. And when it was talking about finding your spouse, and it was, you find your spouse during the deepest of times. And then it's like the advice is, think about the hardest thing you'll go through. And for me, the hardest thing so far that we've been through is, I lost my dad 4 years ago, and that was hard, but we did have a different relationship. And Jordan was amazing with that. But then losing my mom my family's never seen me like this. They've never seen me not have control of my emotions. They've never seen me not bounce back. I mean, I've had surgeries and things like that. And I mean, I just don't get down.
Never stop.
I just don't stop. And so this has been a huge change for them, and I couldn't imagine doing it with anybody else other than Jordan, the way that he's loved me through this and supported me. And it's hard for him too.
Yeah.
Him and my mom were so close. They were unreal close. They were annoying because they would always talk about me, and I never stood a chance around both of them. She always took Jordan's side. And then for my kids, they've lost a Cece, and then they know that mom is different and mom has changed. And we talk about it all the time, and how much she was there for them. She was there for them so much they didn't have to question who wasn't. And they've all voiced concerns now on how they aren't going to have her at those things. And it is lonely for them. And I do hate that for them because I can't fix that, except I'm here. Your dad's here. We have you.
Yeah.
And so when they look up in the stands and they see their support, like, that is hard. And all the ways that my mom could reach out, even in the last year and a half when she couldn't physically come to stuff as much because she was just so tired from working and not feeling well, but wouldn't admit that she didn't feel well. She was always there for them still. Mm-hmm. And so we all just talk about it and cry. And I made the comment the other day, I don't even want to decorate for Christmas. And I don't. That's a big thing. Yeah. That was a big thing with my mom. And I don't want to decorate. I just maybe want to go work extra and get money and pay for somebody to do it for me. And my daughter was like, Mom, I understand that you're grieving and you deserve that, but also get over it because that's not what Cece would want you to do. Mm-hmm. And she's so right. So that's where I'm like, well, we can meet in the middle. Because I said, well, pick a tree. We're only going to do one tree. I'm not decorating. And just kind of being ornery with it. But I'm so petrified of that stuff. The first are awful.
Yeah.
And I mean, even my 7-year-old the other day, he wanted to drive our house. I said, but our house doesn't look anything the same. The people who moved into it, it just looks complete opposite. I mean, Carol would have called the city on them immediately. And she did that on her neighbors. No, absolutely not. And so he said, there were tears and everything else. I'll make this part short, but he said, I can't believe she's never going to get to be at one of my birthdays again. And I said, I know, Gussie, I'm so sorry for that. And so he was crying and I was crying and I was driving, and he said, she wasn't here at this one and that was the first time. And I said, yeah. And he said, and I just couldn't even handle it. The mouth of a 7-year-old to say that. And it just broke me. And I said, I know. And, she's been here since the moment you were born. And he cried and stuff. And he said, yeah, she was the second person I ever saw. Which was funny and added to that. But everyone always talks about her all the time. I mean, she's a celebrity. The boys pray for her. Annie misses her. I mean, everybody, she just talks about it all the time. So sometimes it's sorry we're depressing, but also it's just where we're at and we just miss her so much.
Yeah. She, obviously I've known her as long as our friendship, and I could think of 1,000 things that she's done or said to make me laugh. She was such an amazing person, but what do you think she's most remembered for or most known for? When people talk to you or reminisce or anything like that, what do they bring up the most?
I think it would be a tie between her listening ear. She's so good to vent to and give solutions for. Like my husband said at her celebration of life, that anything that he would bring to her that we were going to do just to talk about with, she would always give a list of questions. And so he almost would study for it. Carol's going to ask this and Carol's going to ask that. So I want to make sure I have this and this and this together. And even whenever he think that he'd have all the answers to everything, she would still have questions because she wanted us to think about every aspect of it. Or her humor. She's so funny and quick-witted. I mean, hilarious. I mean, so on the spot with that mouth. I mean, just
quick.
I feel like should have been a lawyer. I mean, just
she's such a good, almost like a life coach, like a life teacher. I mean, I went to her for tutoring in college, for statistics or college algebra. It was some math class. I don't know, but even like Heather said, talking to her, it's like she knew everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
Truthfully.
She literally, you could not talk to her about something that she didn't know. She was
also
just a jack of all trades.
I mean, she went through a lot. She had a lot of life experience, and she shared that with others on how to get through things.
Yeah. Didn't she mentor somebody?
She
through
did.
teaching.
We didn't even find out about that until our celebration of life, that she started a mentor program through Wichita Falls ISD and partnered with DPS, with TxDOT, and that was awesome to find out about because she did stuff under the radar a lot.
Yeah. Just so sweet. What is something that you have taken from her, a tradition or something that you always want to try to keep up with and do?
Cook. She cooked for us all the time. That was her love language. And she would make cakes and desserts and cook all the dinners, even when she had to stop teaching because she couldn't talk as well for her third graders. She sent me a text and was like, what if you get your groceries and just bring them to my house and I'll make dinner for your family every night? And I would just go get it. And we both just did things for each other like that. And so it's been a funny thing. I've been saying I'm in my baking era. I have always been able to cook. It's a thing like, oh, I don't, but I haven't had to. That was my mom's job. She was the cook. And she's sneaky and would leave stuff out of our recipes that she's given us and stuff like that. And so I actually found a video of that the other day of me sending her a rude video that she left something out of a recipe. And so that is something I'm trying to do. I owe so many people so much for the way that people came out and helped me and my family during this time. So my goal is to cook something for everybody. And kind of want to work on a different project with her cooking, but that is something I hope that I carry.
Yeah. She did. She always made the best, desserts, yes. Thing I think I loved the most that she made was the cheese ball.
Yes.
And that was,
her famous cheese ball for sure.
5 or 6 years ago that we had a cheese ball here for some reason. And man, it was so good. And I always tried to get that recipe, and she held on to those things like they were the Declaration of Independence.
No.
I don't know if she even had them written down. I feel like she just had a little Rolodex up top, and she's like, I'm going to make this
Even when
today.
my sister and I wanted to make her Kahlua cake, and she hadn't, really been awake when we made it, and we thought, let's just make this in her kitchen. It was something that she always makes, and we had the best time that night making that, but we couldn't find that recipe anywhere. Like nowhere. I kind of remembered it because I've seen her make it so much and helped make it, and Haley remembered stuff too, and so we were kind of that. We finally found it, and it was under a different name in our recipe box. Well, she actually woke up pretty well the next day, and we told her that, and she was like, how'd you find it? Excuse you? Why'd you hide it? Is the question.
Because she knew. She was like, no one's pulling this one on me.
No,
what is something that brings you like peace or a sense of connection to her now? Like, is there anything?
So I pray all the time, which is going to be pretty transparent. I'm in a stage where I'm very angry. So I'm pretty mad at God right now. He can handle it. He's my father. But it's getting better. But I haven't been to church. And I pray, but it's just a different relationship. But at the same time, I do know my mom is there, and I don't know if you've heard this, but they say you can't take anything to heaven with you or anything like that. But you can take your kids, because you instill God in your kids every day. And my mom did instill God into us, and that's, we may not have been raised in a church, but we definitely were raised that God is the reason, and it was all at His will, and I'm her child, and I know that we'll be together someday because I know how she raised me, and she'll get to take me with her.
That is very, very true, and that is hard. People are in denial, and then they're angry, and and like you said, the grieving might not ever come to an end. It might just be your new normal, and right now it is, and so that's understandable to be angry.
Yeah.
It's, you can be selfish in this moment and be angry and feel all the things, and you don't have to put a timeline on it as far as, okay, by next Christmas we're going to be past this and everything else, because it's just not fair.
It isn't.
No. what would you tell, new moms or just moms in general, people in general that are going to be faced with having to grieve somebody? What's advice that you could give them?
I think it is just being transparent, not hiding from your kids or your spouse or anybody in that sense that you're sad, because you can't help it when you're sad. And those who really love you and know you will love you through that, and know that it's just a moment and you just need to cry. I mean, I can't go to Home Goods without crying. I go because it is a sense of security. It makes me think of my mom and all those trips that we would make to Hobby Lobby and stuff like that. But it is a way I process. And so everybody knows that. And like even today, Dina FaceTimed me. It was an accident. She's so rude. But, and I didn't see it. And so when I called her back and she was like, "Are you okay?" And I mean, I just started crying, and I was like, it just is Home Goods. I just go because it just reminds me of my mom and us decorating and us being together. And she's like, "Oh my gosh, okay." And she starts tearing up and she's like, "Love you." And we get off the phone. And so it's like, I don't have to follow up with that. And she doesn't either. She doesn't have to say, "Are you okay?" Because no, I'm not okay. But am I okay? Yes, I'm okay. I'm getting up every day. I'm washing my hair sometimes. No. But like, so that is just like, find your group that you don't have to make excuses for. And that is one thing Jordan has a hard time with. Like, on my mom's birthday, I'm like one eye crusted shut, and I'm barely opening my eye, and he's right here and says, "Are you okay?" I said, "Jordan, don't ask me that again today. No, I'm not okay. I'm going to be sad, but it's gonna be okay."
And it's okay to be sad.
Yes. So that's my biggest thing, is just have your group and not be fake about it. I mean, just, no.
And it's so cliche to say, but like, enjoy the moment, because you don't know what tomorrow holds, or in the next hour, or whatever, the case may be.
Yep.
Enjoy it. Take the pictures. They're going to be mad,
I wish I didn't care so much about making her mad.
Yeah, because she's going to get mad and she's going to get over it. And just say, well, you couldn't really say, "I'll delete the picture," because she would watch you delete it. Like,
yes.
She didn't play about that. But, is making a mad worth the memory? Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I wish I would have made her mad. I am loud and crazy and bossy and sassy and everything else. I own it. I know I am. But not with Carol.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't. I would let her run all over me in that sense. And yes, ma'am, and okay. I mean, we joked and we had fun and we had mouths. And I mean, we mom and daughter get a grip. But like, no, if she didn't want it, I was not going to push her on that. And so I do wish I would have been like, "Move on. Get over it. Like, you're all right."
But it was hard with her.
Yes, it was. She gets that tone in her voice. And that's all. I mean, I can still hear her saying, "Heather, Irene."
I know, that's what I mean about, like, I know you can read some of her sassy texts.
Yes.
Like, ooh, she
that's
was
why I'm
yelling
like,
at
I know that block that I have of anxiety and fear will release, and I'll get to really hear her voice. But
yeah. And you have a lot of funny stories about her too.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Y'all picked on her
funny.
A lot. You and your sister, and
yes,
y'all pranked her.
And the three of us, we were a good time all the time.
And y'all still
were.
I think y'all still did funny stuff like that even up until she passed.
Yes,
y'all were
we did.
Haley
was got the grabber and getting her toes while she was in her hospital bed and trying to get Noodle and yes, we totally messed with her, and she would laugh and then she'd be like, "All right."
And you ended up taking her dog after she passed.
Yes, I had to. Yep, she told Haley and I that she wanted us to take Noodle, and Haley has big dogs at her house. She has Great Danes, so it only made sense for Noodle to come here, and she's transitioned well, but it sucks because I used to be so mean to her because she was a gross little sister and a little rat, but now she's at my house, and she lost her mom too, so I have to, be a little nice to her.
But she does fit in very well.
She does.
It's like she is the last baby, even though she's the oldest of the babies, I think.
She is. She's 11. She just turned 11.
Yeah. And she's so precious.
But my sister and I went to Parkway and got catfish for Mom on her birthday. And we cried a lot, but we also got to laugh a lot at all the antics that we would do and the stuff that she would say and things like that.
And she was just a good person. I don't think that, even obviously by you guys, she's not going to be forgotten ever, but even people that just knew her, that came in contact with her, coworkers, us, anything like that, she's not going to be forgotten.
No.
Not at all. She was definitely a one-of-a-kind person.
And it's like that fine line between sometimes I get so tired of crying. I get so exhausted of it because I don't know when it's going to hit and I just have to cry. And sometimes I don't want to talk. And sometimes I'm never alone. I am never alone. And so I do still need to do that. I need to go take some time for myself and go off the grid a little bit. I know that I need a day or two in a hotel room of just me by myself and just to cry and to feel and journal. But sometimes when I am crying, I just don't want to talk about it. But there's just always people, and so I have to, or I don't, or I'm just having a moment, and everybody's in my household has gotten like that. But when I was talking with my sister the other day for Mom's birthday, I'm thankful that neither one of us have regrets. I mean, I don't have any regrets with anything, except I wish I would have asked my mom how she handled losing her mom. Because it's so hard. I didn't think about that. I wish so bad that I would have asked.
And she was so young. But that's not something that you thought you would have to experience in this lifetime.
And I just didn't think. It's like I knew it was happening, but I was just in the moment. I 100% was in those moments. I was not thinking about what was to come as much.
Did you journal at all while she was passing, while you were there with her?
Yep.
I think a really good thing to take away, or somebody that is going through something like this, would be like you said, if you have time alone or whatever, take a journal everywhere with you and write down these thoughts. Oh, I remember this. Oh, I remember that. So that they don't get fuzzy in the near future.
Yeah.
And that, right now you're still in the thick of it, grieving so much that you remember things so vividly. But there's going to be a time where, you're not going to forget her, but it's all just life is going to keep going. Yeah. And you don't want to forget those things that you remember so vividly. I don't want
to not cry, but also I want to not cry. It just is so hard. I just miss the little things. I miss having someone to call about all the things that will always answer.
Yep.
Just like we do our moms with just every single thing. That part is so lonely.
And driving by our house and holidays together, all those things. I can't imagine. It would be very, very hard. But you do it well as somebody can do. Like you said, you're never alone. You're always working, or kids, husband, everything else. And, you do still have those moments and you are down, and we all know you so well, so we know when you're upset or crying or need a moment. Yeah. But, you find a pretty good balance.
Fake eyelashes help because no one could ever tell that I was crying.
True.
But they cost too much money, dang it.
True.
So, back to my nubs and everybody asking if I'm okay, but that's okay. I take it out of heart and empathy, and it doesn't bother me when someone asks that, are you okay? Because I do it to people all the time. It's what you're supposed to do, because also, what if you don't ask me and I'm just like, well, that was rude. They could totally tell I'm crying and they don't even care. I mean, it's a twofold. It just is hard because you just don't want to always be like, no.
Right.
Which I've gotten better at being like, yes, I just had a moment, or I talk about it. I mean, I just do.
And it's okay to not be okay. Yep. No is a statement. Are you okay? No. That's a statement in itself. And you don't have to always feel pressure to talk about it. You can say, no, I'm not okay today, but I'm not, I really don't want to talk about it right now, or talk about it.
Yes.
But I think society needs to normalize having feelings. Taking a minute to kind of break down and cry, or if you're just not having a good day or whatever. I feel like a lot of people are so like, oh, she's crying, I don't want to talk to her.
Yeah.
Just normalize it. It's okay. You have feelings too. We all have feelings, but it's okay to not be okay.
Right.
It's okay to live and feel and breathe like a normal human being, have emotions, be hurt. And maybe somebody else is going through something similar, whether they lost their mom or their grandma or whoever,
a spouse,
and they don't feel like they can talk about it or,
Yeah.
any of that because nobody else, everyone's so hush-hush about it.
And then you have to.
Yeah.
You just can't let it control you. You can't let it take over. You can't stop life. You still have to keep going because other people need you.
And that person wouldn't want you to.
No.
Your mom would be like, get it together.
Yes.
She would absolutely.
My sister and I, even whenever, when we did her services, we were like, she passed on a Thursday. We know that or on a Wednesday, we know that she would say, have the services on Saturday and resume normal activity on Monday. But we met in the middle on that. We didn't do it as, fast as that. But yes, that is exactly how she was.
Yeah. Well.
So, motherhood and grieving. It's here.
It's going to happen to us all.
Yep.
At some point.
So it just is enjoying what we have. We don't take the things with us. We just take the relationships and the impact that you make on others. And my relationship with God will be fine. It is fine. I just am using him as a punching bag. The ones we love most, we tend to do that with. So.
Whatever helps. Yep. He won't give up on you. No. Neither will we. Mm-mm. So. All right. Well.
Goodbye.
See y'all later.